I'm Shay.
And I'm Hannah, and we're Dinnernational.
Today, we're cooking Bahamian food. The Bahamas is made up of over 700 islands and is a prime destination for tourism. Given its magnificent beaches, lush green forests, and tropical savannah climate, it's no wonder people decide to honeymoon here. Nestled in the Atlantic Ocean, between the United States, Cuba, and South America, it's no secret that seafood is an important source of nutrition here. Rock lobster, grouper, and conch are only some of the widely enjoyed staples, and this assortment of seafood is often served with potatoes, grits, and fresh fruit. Today, we prepared a hearty Bahamian stew fish, saturated with flavor from the Caribbean thyme and garlic, and served alongside Johnnycake, a simple flour biscuit with just the right amount of sweetness. We also made the famous seafood fritters with a medley of seafood instead of the traditional conch in an artfully spiced batter and fried the little marine balls until they were light, airy, and crispy. Though this would have been great on its own, we dipped these in a spicy horseradish sauce and served a crisp and fresh coleslaw on the side.
Woo! Let's get started.
Okay.
I did not mean to do the woo.
That's it.
The classic accompaniment to Bahamian stew fish is either Johnnycake or grits, and we're doing Johnnycake today, which comes from the term journey cake. In the US, you might hear hoe cake or cornbread. So this is made a few different ways around the world. Even people in Australia are making Johnnycake. Some places are making it with cornmeal and some are using flour. So the Bahamas uses flour. So preheat your oven to 350. I'm going to sift some flour into this bowl. It's important to sift it so you get a nice fluffy Johnnycake. Just kind of shake the sifter back and forth. I've got a couple of older sifters. Hi, Grace and Claire. Nothing like breathing in some sifted flour. Okay, I have a half a teaspoon of salt. This is 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and I'm just gonna mix these dry ingredients together. This is 1/3 of a cup of white sugar, half of a cup of vegetable oil, and half a cup of milk. Mix this all together. You can add a little more sugar if you want it to be sweeter, but 1/3 cup should be fine for our meal today. We need more milk. So half a cup was not enough. We're going to add a little bit more milk because this should be kind of like a batter. You're gonna pour this into a greased pan. I'm going to pour mine into a greased muffin tin. You can pour this in any kind of pan, and you just want them to be a couple inches thick. I thought it'd be nice if they were, you know, little pucks. Cornbread. Okay, so I've been able to fill 5 out of the 6 of these muffin molds. So I'm going to pop these in the oven and bake for about 20 minutes.
The Bahamas is an island nation, and as you can very well imagine, seafood is really popular. So today I'm bringing you a really nice, tasty dish of stewed fish. What I have over here is tilapia fillets that I have cut into smaller pieces. I'm just gonna make a quick marinade and tell you more about this dish in a second. I'm just gonna pour juice of 1 lime on it, and this is a hot pepper. Be careful. Dun dun dun. This is another hot pepper that I kind of cut into little strips, and I'm just gonna add it over here. Also add a pinch of salt. I wash my hands, I promise. Big pinch of salt, and it's as simple as that. I'm just gonna give everything a really nice toss. Honestly, I just prefer to use my hands and get in there with spicy, spicy. So I'm gonna let the fish rest for the next 10 to 15 minutes while I make the roux. So this dish is apparently really popular all over the Caribbean. I've seen many different variations. The one that we're making today is quite typical to the Bahamas. We're just gonna use peppers and potatoes and onions, but then I have seen recipes that don't call for any of those things. Some of the variations didn't even fry the fish, but you know, I like some fry on my fish. Looks like my cast iron Dutch oven is a little bit heated up. This is 1/3 of a cup of white flour. I'm just gonna toast this flour. There's no oil in there. The idea is to, you know, get this nice and toasty, get it nice and dark. This process takes a little bit of a time, but there's only 2 things to be mindful of. The first thing is keep stirring this thing. And the second thing is Don't be scared of a little bit of browning. The second one was more for myself because I have a tendency to be scared of like browning things perfectly. I'm like, oh, it's burning. It's not burning. It's gotta go for like a good 10 to 15 minutes and keep tossing every minute or two and watch it closely as the color changes. This is a little bit labor intensive, but I would advise you not to skip this step because this is what makes the gravy nice and thick and rich. You know, less toasted gravy also probably tastes pretty good, but then the depth of flavor that like a nicely browned gravy gives you is just something special. So I think this is adequately browned. As you can see, the color has changed quite a bit. So I'm just gonna turn my stove off and keep this aside and work on my fish. I just moved my flour out of the way, but then the burner is off. I'm just keeping it there to save some space over here. I have a fry pan going on like medium-high heat. This is half a cup of vegetable oil, and we're gonna use this to fry our fish. So our fish has been sitting in the lime marinade for about 20 to 30 minutes. The flour actually took a second, so Hannah just told me that there's flour in my hair and my hair is looking all gray. No, I was stirring that flour for so long that I grew old. So my oil's kind of hot enough to fry now. And I'm just gonna fry my tilapia slices. There's no breading or anything like that on this, so just make sure that it's a gentle fry. And like I said, the fry step is optional. So as you can guess, I'm using the same fish pan to fry up my vegetables. I just added half of an onion in there. I'm covered in splatter. It burns! I'm going to saute these onions for about 5 minutes. We don't want it cooked all the way. My fish actually fell apart. I'm feeling a little bit sad about that. But you know what? Once we eat it, it's all going inside. Onions are getting nicely browned. It's time to add half of a bell pepper. I've sliced this into long strips. So the green pepper is an optional ingredient as well. I have seen a lot of recipes without any. But you know what? I like a little bit of green pepper in my stew. This would be a good time to add 1 potato. Give everything a good toss. Ooh, that smells yummy. Almost smells like a pizza. A little bit of salt. This is gonna be a delicious dish. Okay, perfect time to add garlic. 2 cloves, lightly minced. And this is a teaspoon of tomato paste. If you feel like your vegetables are burning, feel free to add like a tablespoon of water. Not too much. Mix everything together. Smells amazing. So we're not trying to cook this through, so I'm gonna take this off of the heat. Are you guys still with me? Blue pot is back in action, and I have pulled all the flour out. I'm heating the pot over a medium-high heat. And I have a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil that I'm gonna heat up and make a roux. I guess I gotta wait for a second. Okay, so my oil's heated up and I'm gonna add all of my flour at once and continuously keep stirring. Dark brown gravy. We don't need to do this for much longer because our flour has already been toasted. Now I'm going to add water. That was 4 cups. I did not have any seafood stock. Seafood stock would have been classic. Keep stirring. Don't stop until the roux mixes with the water. It's starting to thicken up nicely. Okay, and now I'm just gonna let this water come up to a boil. So my broth is coming up to a boil, and this would be a good time to add some seasoning. I'm gonna add like a nice pinch of salt, but remember we salted the other components, so we're gonna go a little bit easy. I went to the Caribbean market to find some of these components. I was lucky enough to find something called Caribbean thyme. It just smells a little stronger than a regular thyme to me. If you're not able to find that, just use regular thyme. So the pepper was not as spicy as I was fearing, so I'm gonna add 1 more pepper just cut in half. I'm not mincing it up, so I don't want it to be like super strong. Just gonna give everything a little stir and reintroduce our sauteed vegetables into the liquid. I'm gonna give everything a nice toss. Could maybe use a touch more salt.
Can I try?
Right? Touch more salt?
Yes, but the thyme.
Thyme is good. I like it. Our stew is coming together really nicely. Now it's time to add our last ingredient, which is crushed up tomatoes. So this is not a mandatory ingredient. I've seen variations with and without tomatoes, but you know, we like a little bit of tomato in this household. Just what this dish needed. Now we can reintroduce our fish. I'm just gonna plop all this stuff in there. Make sure you get all of the accumulated juices because you know, that's what's gonna make this dish tasty. It's really sunny.
Yeah.
Are we in Philadelphia? And now I'm gonna put the lid on until the potatoes finish cooking. So that'll be about 10 minutes. See you in 10.
So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this recipe. It's a simple slaw. I feel that most people have probably tried slaw before. So this is 4 cups of cabbage that I've sliced on a mandolin, so very thinly sliced. You know what slaw is. And I've grated 1 carrot. Dump that in there. This is 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. And this is about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And of course, you need to add some seasoning, just a pinch of salt, maybe 2, and freshly ground black pepper. So as an American, I'm used to a slightly sweeter slaw. We might end up adding some sugar in here, but it's really up to you. So just make sure that all these pieces are nicely coated in the mayonnaise and keep it in the fridge until you're ready to eat.
I saw this really intriguing recipe while I was looking into food from the Bahamas. It's called conch fritters. I didn't even know that conch was edible. It is actually a religious artifact in India where I grew up. You know, they blow it in temples and stuff. Anyway, so we couldn't find conch in British Columbia, so we just used like a bag of mixed seafood instead. So what I have over here is like a couple pieces of octopus, some mussels, some squid, some shrimp. This was actually just frozen in a bag, but if you live in the Bahamas or nearby, use conch. I'm just gonna give this like a rough chop with my cleaver because we want it to be like slightly smaller pieces, right? We don't want like one large chunk of octopus in your food. And as you can guess, I have some vegetable oil that's heating up. We've been frying a lot this season, huh? So my seafood has been chopped. I'm gonna move this to the side. Let me just quickly go wash my hands. So this is a pretty easy fritter recipe. This is just 1 cup of flour. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 large egg, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. This is like half of an onion. It's finely diced. You don't want big pieces of onion in your mouth, or maybe you do. This is half of a green pepper that I diced up, pretty small as well. This is the other half from the rest of the fish curry. I'm Indian, I call everything curry. And this is 1 cup of milk. See, easy recipe, right? I'm just gonna give everything a nice mix. Create a nice batter. I'm going to add my seafood in. Make seafood fritters. Make seafood fritters. Nice. And season it according to your taste. Okay, my oil is at 350, so that means it's fry time. I'm just gonna give this another quick stir. Look at that, this is like a really nice chunky consistency. So I'm just gonna add this a tablespoon at a time into our hot oil. Be really careful. There you go. Okay, I'm super excited about this. I'm just gonna wait until these are done frying and that's it. It's a super easy recipe. See how these are floating? That means it's airy and light. As you can see, paper towel lined baking sheet. First batch comes out. It's nice and fluffy, you guys. I'm actually super happy about these. I really hope this tastes good. All right, people, let's try some Bahamian food. I mean, this Johnnycake is just so intriguing.
Inviting.
This is like a little muffin.
Yeah, I've been wanting to try this since we made it.
Yeah, go for it. How is it?
It's nice. It's like a cornbread without the corn. Imagine that.
Yeah, I'm gonna dip it into my nice fish gravy. Soak up a little bit of.
Right?
This is like billowing.
And subtly sweet, right? Just a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the sweetness. I initially thought that, a sweet bread is not really my thing, but this works really well.
That thyme.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's delicious. The Caribbean thyme.
And I can really taste the fish, and it's so tender, and at the same time the potatoes.
I'm gonna have a bite of the fish.
The fish is really tender and flaky. I love it.
Very good.
I've not had a lot of dishes that pair fish and potato together, but this just seems to be a great combination.
I mean, besides fish and chips.
Fair point.
This is so good. Right?
I cannot stop eating. I love the tomato in it. And I really like the peppers. The peppers are not too sharp, but at the same time, I can feel like a little bit of back notes of the spice.
Yeah, you need a little heat.
Yum. This is delicious. I had no idea. We're no strangers to coleslaw, but what's not to like, right? It's a delicious fresh cabbage with carrots.
Yeah.
It just adds to the meal. You want to go for the fritters?
Yes, the fritters. This is like kind of the most exciting part for me. I mean, because it's fried. I mean, who doesn't love that? We couldn't find any conch, you guys.
I've had at least 6 of these while you guys were not watching. There's this really simple sauce that Hannah made. It was just mayonnaise, ketchup, and horseradish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like a really nice kind of cocktail sauce that kind of works with the conch, the pretend conch.
Yeah. Seafood medley. Yeah, it's really good. And if for any of you that are kind of squeamish about seafood, like octopus and stuff, this has been minced up pretty well. You just kind of taste this fishy flavor. It's very nice. Yeah, it's quite good.
I feel like I'm gonna finish this entire meal standing up right here. All right, guys. See you next week.
See you next week.